Democratic Congressman Dean Phillips, he is leaving the door open to a potential primary challenge of President Biden. But the Minnesota lawmaker, in a podcast interview, says some of his Democratic colleagues may have an easier path.
I am thinking about it. I haven't ruled it out. I think there are people who are more proximate, better prepared to campaign with national organization, national name recognition, which I do not possess. It's important for democracy to have choices, to have competition.
Yeah, so joining us now is Axios political reporter Erin Doherty. Erin, it's good to have you again on the show. He said the country is begging for alternatives to this two-party system that we have. Is Congressman Phillips testing the waters here?
Thank you so much for having me. We've been seeing Representative Dean Phillips talk since summer about, he's been encouraging other Democratic candidates to jump in the race, and he has really been intent on President Biden facing a challenger. He met with Democratic donors over the summer, and so we've been seeing sort of a similar rhetoric from Representative Dean Phillips for at least a few months now. And the podcast yesterday kind of continues to leave the door open for a potential run from him. Obviously we saw in that clip that he says that there are other potential candidates who have more national name recognition than he does, and who could, probably fare better in a primary, but he didn't close the door for himself, and he is kind of sticking to his message that he thinks that there should be a challenger to President Biden on the Democratic primary.
I guess I'm curious as to why you're dangling that carrot, in front of American voters when you say it's a steep slope. And per his soundbite, we all just heard there are people who are more proximate, better prepared with national organizations, national name recognition, which he says I do not possess. So why are you going to dangle that carrot if A, you're not going to do it, or B, you are, but you've already given, voters a reason not to go for you?
I think it really sticks with his message from the summer that I think ideally from his perspective, would have somebody else jump in the race who does have that stronger national name recognition. But I think he also wants to keep the door open, so that way if he does jump in the race, it's pretty online with what he's been saying for at least a few months now. And so I think that for him, the priority is, and what he thinks is super important, is there being a kind of serious challenger to President Biden in the Democratic primary. He has said for a few months that, cited polling that shows that most Americans are not super excited about President Biden running again. And so I think that he is, trying to sort of do anything he can to either, one, get someone else to jump in, or not close the door completely on a bid for himself, if that's what he ends up doing.
We'll see if his method works. Speaking of alternatives, I did want to pick your brain on this one. California Governor Gavin Newsom keeps insisting he's not running in 2024. He's not going to challenge President Biden. But he did just agree to debate Florida Governor Gavin Newsom come November on Fox with Sean Hannity. So do you think he's still keeping his name out there, maybe for this go around, maybe for 2028? What are your thoughts?
So California Governor Gavin Newsom has sort of ascended to the national scene. He is, and I think that this decision to debate Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is sort of the continuation of him kind of bringing himself onto the national profile. That said, he has said definitively, or he has really indicated that he's not going to jump in the race in 2024. He has offered his, full throated support of President Biden. In fact, my colleague at Axios, Alex Thompson, reported this weekend that he is going to the Democratic debate or the Republican debate on Wednesday with the Biden campaign. So he is really behind the Biden campaign in 2024. And I think the debate sort of signals that he is still, though, interested in kind of getting his name out there on a more national platform, and setting himself up for a potential presidential bid in 2028, kind of entering with a lot of name recognition.
Yeah, maybe 2028, maybe for just in case purposes this time around. Erin Doherty, thanks so much for your perspective this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.